Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and I'm back. At least for a few weeks, I think. Hello, Evelyn. Good to see you. You are the first to join. Hi, Joan. Purple Nana Linda. Good to see you. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Peggy. Yeah, good to see everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing well. It's Friday, and hopefully I remembered to do all this stuff. You know, as long as I've done this, as many years as I have been broadcasting on Ustream and YouTube, it's been a long time, many years now. And as much as I have done it, as many years, as many times a week, over the course of, these many years, if I take a break for 2 or 3 times, I have to always go through this mental checklist and these mental gymnastics of, are all the things in place? Anyway, so hello. Thank you, Evelyn. Hi, Kathy Whitney. I know, the new great grandbaby. Oh, there's nothing like a newborn baby. Nothing. There's just nothing like a newborn baby. They are so remarkable. We'll talk more about that as we go. Hello, Connie. Good to see you guys. Thanks for sharing with people that I'm back, and we'll play around and see what we can do today while we each share a dream. What's your dream? That reminds me of Pretty Woman. That guy that's walking around in Hollywood. Everybody's got to have a dream. What's your dream? True. Anyway, so we'll talk as we get going. Hopefully. Just looking at my air conditioner, hopefully that it cools down in here a little bit more. It's a little warm. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and then we'll just I have a few things I have a lot on my table actually, but I have a few things I thought we would kind of play around with and do. And one of the things that was as I was having to do all the last minute stuff before I left, like pay bills and all that kind of stuff, this little package was in with my mail and I forgot about it. And so I thought, well, we'll take a look at them today and see what we think. They're called Artist Blender crayons. Hello, Terry. And everybody just make yourselves at home and welcome each other. That would be great. Artist Blender crayons from Niji. They're Niji Artist Blender crayons. Sorry, that's what it is. Transparent. And they're from the Yasutomo company, made in China. And I found them, actually I got them from Amazon, because where else would you buy anything, right? Seems like the thing. And so I took a piece of this, it's the same piece of this paper I showed you the last time we were together, which has been quite a while, I know. And this is sort of a simulated, shall we say, deckled edge. It's machine cut. And I got a stack of 50 pieces of this. And it's supposed to be a takeoff of coffee dyed or tea dyed paper, watercolor paper. And so I thought, well, we'll just see what they do. So I'm going to put some water in this little cup. And I got over here with everything except the watercolors. So let me grab a set of watercolors here somewhere. I have them. I have several sets of watercolors around here. You'd think that I was a watercolor artist. Nope, not even kind of. But I have watercolors, just in case. Oh yeah. Anyway, so we're just going to take a just a regular brush. This is actually a brush I've used with acrylic paint, but because we're just testing, I am not going to worry about what the brush is. So I'm just going to pick up some paint. I have put what I've written on here with these blender crayons. I saw these advertised by somebody, and I couldn't tell you who. Maybe not advertised is maybe not the right word. And we'll see how this does, because I really don't know. And this is supposed to be watercolor paper, this paper that I'm on, which I'm not sure that it is. But anyway, so we're going to just put some watercolor on here, and then I may get a piece of real watercolor paper, because I don't think this is watercolor paper at all. It's supposed to be, but I don't think it is. And what's up here are the Sakura, or the Crafter's Workshop stencil butters. That's what's up there. When we were just testing those, whenever I was here, I think last time. Hello, Barbara Clark and everybody. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I don't think this paper is gonna do anything. I think we're gonna have to get another piece of paper and do it again. But what you can kind of see a little bit where I drew with that blender crayon. Let me get a real piece of watercolor paper, because I really don't think this stuff is. These are just offcuts from when I was cutting down paper for something else, but this is watercolor paper. All right, so let's try it again. They're transparent crayons, and it says on the package, transparent, non-water soluble crayons are great for mixed media, watercolor, and creative blending techniques. Rub over stencils and other surfaces to create highlights and textures. Crayons are transparent. And that's pretty much all there was. And I do not know, I don't remember what appealed to me about this. Now, the disadvantage of something being transparent is you cannot see what you wrote down. And so we're just gonna put some watercolor over the top of that and see what we get. If any of you worked with these or used these before, hey Dorothy. But they are a resist, yeah. I am using them as a resist. Now you can see it. See, I told you that other stuff I didn't think was really a watercolor paper. And I don't think it is. Now, I don't know what you do with it after you put the pigment down. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with it after that. So, has anybody used these? If you have, speak up and tell us how you've used them and what you've used them for. So there is the resist with that. Barbara Clark uses a white China marker. It would be fun at some point to just do a bunch of different resist techniques. A white China marker, boy, is that a tongue twister for me today. White wax crayon, like a Crayola crayon. Candle. But I just thought, well, I'll try those and see. It would be kind of fun to use it through a stencil and stuff. But anyway, I just thought I'd show them to you. Don't know that I can recommend or not recommend. Anyway, you get 3. They weren't very expensive. Got them on Amazon for what it's worth. But it did not work on this stuff, whatever this is that's supposed to be watercolor paper, which I don't think it is. So I'm just buffing the top of this surface just to see if it will, what it'll do, if anything. You can maybe see a little bit more of the blender crayon as I tip it in the light, but with having that dark tea stain sort of background on it, it doesn't do much. Hello, Angie. Good to see you. All right, so let's take this one. I just want to see if the crayon will just rub off or what it'll do. Anyway, I'll have to look it up online and see, you know, if they have additional suggestions or whatever. I mean, that's how you learn. You just try stuff and just see. Anyway, there's that. Okay. So those were something that were in my pile of mail when I went through and was paying bills last time. So I thought, well, we'll get those out and we'll play with them, and actually it's kind of neat. Once I buffed it, most of the crayon kind of came off, so it doesn't seem real, you know, like it would be, like it would continue to be a problem on the surface of the paper. I don't know. Anyway, let me get rid of the water. Put it on the floor. That way I can kick it on the floor. Hello, Carol McDonald. Hi, Dana. Hi, Vale. Hello, CB. Good to see you. It is still hot in here. I'm going to have to lower the air conditioner again. I don't keep the air conditioning on very cool in here, so yeah, when I come in here to work, it takes a while for it to cool down. Anyway, the other thing that arrived while I was gone were some fabric crayon or fabric markers. And so I thought I would show those to you and also show you my sampling of the fabric crayons, fabric markers actually, that I have. Just trying to, I'm out of practice, folks. Haven't been going, oh, hello, Miss Muppet. Hi. Hi. How are you? You want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hello to your peeps? You want to say hi to your people? Yes, there she is. There she is. Miss Muppet. Yes, she is soon to turn 17. Yeah, she's soon to turn 17. She's got a yucky spot on her eyelid. So far, so good. Yeah, so far, so good. She's such a sweet girl. She spent a week at the vet, as did the cat. Oh, don't sneeze on me. Anyway, she spent a week at the vet. And they always love having Chance at the vet. They always love having him there. And I think Muppet's just sort of, at this point, she's just sort of in her own space. She's just kind of in her own world these days. Bless her little heart. She's such a good girl. And I don't know why she comes up here. She used to not come up here at all. She's a good girl. Yeah, she's almost 17, so every day that I have with her, it's like, it's a bonus day with her at this point. Chance is she's almost 16. Chance is 17. Chance is older. He's in better shape. But, yeah, anyway. Okay, let's talk about this. We'll talk about something fun. So these are the markers that I got. I was just looking on Amazon just to see what other kinds of fabric markers were out there, because the ones that I was using with you guys before I left were the tulip markers. So that's what these are, the tulip brush tips. And I also had some of the fine tip, which are bullet tips. So I did those. I also used some of the stained markers, the Sharpie stained markers. That's what these are. So we used some of those, and that's, I guess, what we used before. Anyway, I'm going to show you these. What I was looking for was something that was transparent, like the tulip markers, but that had more color range. Kathy Whitney's in her own world too. I know, it's where we should all be. Anyway, it's from Shuttle Art. Never heard of them. I'm sure it's a Chinese company. Fabric markers, 40 colors. They weren't very expensive, so I ordered them. I thought, well, see how these go. They said that they would work on light colored fabric, so I thought, well, I'll try them and see. So this is the assortment of colors. Does not come with numbers on them. I put the numbers on them because there's no color name on them. They just come with the markers. And often these color, the tips, the marking at the bottom is totally off from what color they're really going to be. And so you really have to sample them. So this is just a piece of lightweight white muslin, and I used a big fat Sharpie marker, this big fat chisel tip, and I just did some stripes of black, which is pretty opaque. You can't hold it on the surface of the fabric very long because it will immediately start bleeding out. You can see some of the feathering on that black stripe. The reason for the black stripe is just like you were going to sample watercolors or anything else. If the color goes over the black and obscures the black, you know it's an opaque marker. If it doesn't, if the black stripe stays on top, then it's more of a translucent or transparent color. Okay, so what I did was I got out pretty much the ones that look like pink tones. And so for example, this one right here, okay, I'll get the pinks out just so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so these were the first 6 that I sampled right here. So this is number 1. Okay, so that's reasonably close to how that marked on the fabric. This is number 2. Do you see how different that is? It's not even kind of close to the way it marked on the fabric. That's why you got to swatch these things out. Number 3, reasonably close. Number 4, 3 and 4 are very similar. This is a little bit more neon color, but you know, they're awfully close together when you mark them out. They're not as close together when you look at them at the tip of the marker. Let's see, and this is number 5 right here. Do you see the difference? Look how dark it marks on the fabric compared to the way the tip of the marker, the plastic end, is colored. Very different. And this is number 6. It's closer to that. So you can't count on how the colors are going to look just by looking at the tips of your, the color sampling on the markers themselves. So what I did is I marked, and these are double-ended, so they have a chisel point or chisel tip on one end, and then they have a bullet tip, which the lid is pretty sharp, pretty tight on that one. It has a bullet tip on the other end. And sometimes I found that the fine tip actually had maybe a little different color. Sometimes it was stronger, sometimes it was weaker, like in this. This is the bullet fine tip. Sometimes the color was a little bit different. Most of them were pretty good shape. There were a couple that were a little bit on the dry side. That tends to happen when you get these inexpensive markers, whether they're fabric markers or other markers. When they're inexpensive, that's kind of how they end up to be. So anyway, I just wanted to show you how I sampled them. And then I used a paint pen. This one, a Posca fine-tipped black paint pen. And then I just arbitrarily assigned the numbers. So I kept them in order as I swatched them. Like that. I did the swatch, and then I numbered them on here. Then I picked up the paint marker and I numbered them at both ends. So no matter how I shove these back in this case, if I leave them in the case, I have a shot at looking at my swatch fabric and being able to pull the colors I want. So that's what I did. And so this is how many colors down to here. There's 40. So from here, here, and here, that's what is in this case. It did come with the in this zip case, fabric markers by Shuttle Arts. It's kind of nice that you have a place to store them, and that's kind of a nice thing to do. I don't know if you're supposed to store them standing up or laying down. Most of my markers I store laying down. Anyway, thanks, Barbara. So that's what those are. Then the rest of these this is the set of Sharpie stained fabric markers. I just decided to sample everything that I have, and so that's what I did. And I could not find the pink. That's why there's a black rectangle around that, which was a space. And then I looked further, and it was in the box. I just had missed it. These are the Sharpie stained markers right here. They are for fabric, and I wrote on here exactly what all of this is so that I have a shot at knowing which markers are which thing, because I'm famous for thinking, oh, I'll remember. No, you won't. No, you won't. I won't. You won't. Nobody will remember what those markers are after you sleep. You just don't. You just don't. So they're the stained markers, and I wrote on here everything is for fabric, just to make sure that I knew that. These are the tulip brush tips. This was one set that had the brush tips and the fine tips all in the same set, and they all have the light barrels, the white barrels on the markers. And these are the ones that are meant for light fabrics, so I added that as well. And then, so this set of colors right here is from the set. There were a couple of duplicates, like the blue I think is the same color, and the black was the same color. And I think the gold, or this brownish color, or this one of these, I think is metallic, but I can't remember for sure. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Then I had some other of the tulip markers that I'd forgotten about, and these have the black barrel on them as opposed to the white. They're all by Tulip, however, and that's what these are. and these are a bullet tip as well. So again, I went on all of these and I made a mark on them somewhere, I guess just on these, numbered them according, so they would number according to those. These are just, they're the same colors as these, so I didn't bother to mark them. Anyway, enough of that. So there's the light colors, and these are the black barrels, and then I had two in the metallic set, also by Tulip. I can't remember what I got these for. I was probably making a mandala or something, but I can't remember for sure. Anyway, there's a set of two metallics, and that's what these are, and they are more opaque than the rest of them. So anytime it says it will mark on light and dark fabric, if it'll mark on dark fabric, you know that it is more opaque. So anyway, I just thought I would show you that. So I now have a swatch of all my fabric colors. Yeah. So there you go. I did also, once this was fully dry, which didn't take very long, then I turned it over and I ironed it with a press cloth on the back to iron up, to heat set, and then turned it over and did it the same thing on the front. So I could see if heat was going to change it at all. Yeah. But here's the thing. Swatching anything, I don't care what it is, these or these, any kind of swatching, or the Neocolor 2s, watercolors, anything, I don't like doing it. I don't like swatching anything. Some people just love it, and they make beautiful swatching sets and stuff. Janet M. Young springs to mind on that one. That is not me. I don't like it. But if I will take the time to do it, I'm always happy after I get it done, because then I have it to look back on. I'm just buffing this one more time because I thought maybe as the paint dried on this thing, maybe it would reveal a little bit more, and it is a little bit. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to pick it up, but I did some wavy lines. I did a heart, a spiral, and I don't know. I think maybe I wrote my name over here. No, I wrote the word hello. Anyway, there you go. Works better on the regular bonafide watercolor paper. Yeah. So there's that. That's the Niji Artist Blender crayons that I did with that. Okay, so what I now have that I thought we would play with. Purple Nana has to swatch everything. It is just not my favorite thing to do. I'm always glad after I do it. In fact, I made myself a book. I'll show you. The thing about a swatching book is you have to keep it up, you know? And I'm also not good at doing that. There's some things in my life I'm not good at. Okay, you were supposed to stay on the back of this. All right, I'm gonna, before I do this with you guys, I'm gonna just use some glue stick to stick this on this project that we're going to use, because my temporary spray adhesive is not wanting to stick this, yes, it's not wanting to stick my stabilizer to the back of my project, so I'm just going to use some glue stick and stick it on here that way. when we get to this in a minute, it's going to be ready to go, and I don't have to look for the stabilizer that came off in the pile. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. So back to swatching. So this is my swatching book that I actually made this years ago. I don't remember how many years ago, but I made this with one of the coil bindings from the Cinch hole punch bookmaking hole punching thing. This was a piece of board from the back of a tablet, you know, like a watercolor tab or pad. And this was from this was a piece of paper from some experiment or something I probably did on stream. It is the paint I'm trying to show you is raised. It is the tulip. It's tulip. It's these that give you the texture. The Slick Riders dimensional fabric paint. It was done with white, not black, obviously, and then probably oil pastels on here or something. Anyway, and then watercolor over the top of it. Hey, Dee Dee, good to see you. Yes, baby arrived. He's a week and 3 days old. He arrived Tuesday, June 18th, a little boy. His name is Liam, and he is wonderful. He was 8 pounds and 11 ounces when he was born, 19 and a half inches long. And he is already, in just over a week, he was at 8'14". You know, they always lose some in the beginning, and he lost a little bit, but not much. He arrived in this world well-baked. Yeah. And so, he was not tiny, but at one point they had projected that he was over 9 pounds, and I'm like, oh, my granddaughter is not a big girl. And I'm like, whoo, poor thing. Yeah, she was in labor about, not quite 24 hours, but close, I think. Yeah, she was in labor quite a while. Anyway, so, yeah, we'll talk more about that. But he was so great. He was so good. He was so much fun. I didn't get to go and help take care of the first one because that was when I was dealing with Claus Man, and he was the last part of his life. And so, you know, it was such a tearing thing for me because I really wanted to be with her, but there was just no way. There was no way I could do that because it was an impossible situation. My granddaughter's mother was already deceased. Her father was not available. I was pretty much her only, I wasn't the only support system, but I was one of the only people that was really a support system for. It was really hard not to be able to go then, but they managed. The two of them, both my granddaughter and her husband, were both off work for, I think it was, I don't know, close to 3 months, and so they managed. They did okay with the first one. It was a little different bringing in baby number 2. Thank you. Yeah, he is wonderful. He really is. Very different personality so far than his big sister. He is very calm, very sweet. His bigger sister she was a firecracker when she was born, and she's still a firecracker. Yeah, and I'll tell you about her firecracker dress here in a little bit too. So this, what I was showing you was this book is the Swatch. Thank you, Dee Dee. This was the book I started. It's made with cheap watercolor paper. Should have been better watercolor paper, but it's not. This was some kind of, this was a drop sheet. This was a piece of newsprint that had caught a whole bunch of crud on my desk that I put on the other side of that. The back cover, this was the same drop paper from newsprint, and this was just some inexpensive scrapbook paperweight. And so this is my this is supposedly what I was going to do. I don't know if I did it, but here are the my first attempt until I gave up of doing the swatches. I'm just not good at it, you know. So those were the koi pan set of 24 pans. But I love having it done when I come back and look at it. I'm just not good at maintaining it. These are the Prang watercolors. These are the Lowell Cornell pans. You know, these are the kind of inexpensive ones you get at Michael's and so forth. These are also inexpensive. This is the Angora watercolors. Those ones that are the little round pans of color that you get a million, not a million, but you get a whole bunch of colors for not a lot of money. What was this? These were Twinks. I don't know if this is, if I glued this on. I guess I glued this on purpose. Yeah, I did. The Twinks are watercolor. They're in little pots, and they're twinkling H2Os. They're a little bit hard to, I thought they were hard to liquefy. Anyway, I don't tend to use those very much. They're really pretty. They're very highly metallic. These are Yasutomo pans. So this is the metallic. Not super metallic-y, by the way, but in here anyway. So some of these I did the swatches separately, like this one. I did the swatch separately on a different piece of watercolor card and then glued it in here. I don't know why. I have no idea why. These are the Royal Talons gouaches. So that's what this is. Oh, and I wrote in here also that I no longer, as of 2017, I don't have these anymore. I gave them away to somebody else. So that's what it's these are Derwent watercolor pencils. But the thing about having a book like this is you have to keep up with it. It's pointless if you don't keep it up. So every time you buy new, you know, you add another pencil, you add, you know, 4 or 5 pencils, or, you know, different colors. You really need to go back into your book and you need to look it up and see, do you have those colors? And I am terrible at that. You know, I was lucky to find the book, quite frankly. These are the Graphitint, Derwent Graphitint water-soluble graphites. And I think I have more colors than this now, but I don't remember for sure. These are the Inktense blocks that I had. I had a set of 12. Then later I got a bigger set. Again, it's one of those things that you really need to you got to keep up with it. Otherwise, it's no good. It's no bueno. It doesn't help you a lot. These are the distress markers. The distress markers, most of those I think I have are dried up, but you know, again, if you don't keep up the swatch book, you know, it doesn't help you a whole lot. Tombow markers, I put them in here and then added water so I could see what they look like. I really like the Tombow markers, and I find that they tend to stay long term. They don't tend to dry out. They are a little more expensive, a little more on the pricey side, but they tend to not dry out on you. These are just some miscellaneous things that I had. The Stabilo all pencils. That's this. And I have those in a bunch of other colors now, but they're not swatched in here. This is the General Sketch and Wash all-purpose graphite pencil. These are Bien Fang, or however you pronounce those, brush pens, which are these. These were expensive. watercolor brush pens. They're very messy. You can do some good stuff with them. I'm just not good with them. I should give them away, but that's what those are. What else? These are Crayola Super Tips, washable markers. Washable, and that doesn't mean, water soluble doesn't necessarily mean that they're watercolors. I put these on damp paper so I could see what they did. They don't blend well with water. They're really good for a lot of things, but they don't blend with water. These are Dilutions ink sprays. So pretty much what I was trying to do was to swatch. I was really on a roll doing this. I was going to swatch all the stuff I had. Yeah, I didn't. It didn't last. These are the Adirondack Color Wash for fabric and paper. I had a few of those. In 2017, those were discontinued. Ranger Distress ink pads. So those were again, I got more colors, but I didn't finish swatching. Distress stains. Those I don't think are even made anymore. Portfolio water-soluble oil pastels. These I love. I learned about these from Dee Dee, and these I love. They're inexpensive. They're made by Crayola, and I love these. Some people like them, some don't. Yeah, if you bind them together, even if you just bind them with one of those big book rings, that will help to keep things together. But then you got to remember that you have the swatches, and then you can go back and look at them. These were the Prima water soluble oil pastels. That's what those were. These are the Neocolor 2 watercolor crayons that I have. I bought these at a garage sale from a friend of mine. These happen to be on my desk. But I bought this set of crayons. There were 30 colors in here originally. And you know how expensive Neocolor 2s are. This was the set. She obviously used them because I've hardly used any of these. Anyway, I bought this for $5. And yeah, it was well worth that. Well worth that. So that's all the colors that I have. These are gelatos. People have a love-hate relationship with gelatos. You either really like them or you really hate them. And I know I have more colors than what I have swatched here. That is the fallacy of the system like this, that if you add to it, if you haven't left blank, like blank pages in between every so often, you add to your assortment of materials that you have, and you don't have any place to swatch them. So yeah, it only works just so far. These are Faber-Castell Art Grip Aquarelle watercolor. These are pencils, watercolor pencils. So there is that. These are more of the aquarelle Faber-Castell Art Grip watercolor pencils. I like those. These are Dina. Boy, my mouth. Words are hard today for some reason. These are the the media scribble sticks. They have more sets of these now. When you do these water media, things like this, if you'll do this thing by putting a stripe of color, like I did with this, put a black stripe under the colors, it will show you, like on this I put white and then I used black also. White added on top, black added on top. So that's what I did. Scribble sticks under and over. Okay, so anyway, I don't even remember what I did. Color burst. The color burst. Oh, this is Ken Oliver color burst. These are powders. They are intense. They are beautiful, and they are a mess. Just saying. If you don't like glitter, Barb doesn't like glitter. You have to be careful when you work with the color bursts. The particles get airborne really easily too, so yeah. The nice thing about the color burst, however, is that, like, there's another powdered pigment that the name escapes me at the moment. Maybe it's in here. Brushos. They are composed of different pigment colors, and so often they will break up into those different color components. Like you can see it here. Those are fun to work. They are fun to work with if you're in the right frame of mind. These are more color bursts. These were metallic. They're called liquid metals. That's what these are. And these are, somebody from the UK sent me these two brushos. The black brusho does some really interesting dispersing of the color too. Superior portable 42 color set. I don't even know what that is. Superior watercolors. Okay, 42 colors. I don't even know where those are. Anyway, so I still have pages in this book, and every once in a while, if there's something I really want to know, that I refer to a lot, like apparently I was coming back to this, which is the Derwent watercolor pencils, because pencils are really hard to tell how it's, if you look at the lead or the end of the watercolor pencil, it's very much like looking at the end of some of these markers. You really can't tell what they're going to color or dissolve out to be. So you really do need to swatch those so you can actually see what they are. Anyway, if you use something a lot, then I would stick a post-it note in here so I'd know where to come back easily. You can make a much better situation than I made here by tabbing the side of your pages so you know what's at what place. Otherwise, you spend all your time looking through it. The system has some good things, and it also has some fallacies, but there you go. So if you're gonna swatch things, you got to keep up with the swatching. Or the way that Janet M. Young does her swatches, she makes these really little, I forgot what size they are, but she will cut these little strips of I guess it's watercolor paper, and she will completely color each one of those and label it. I mean, Janet's my idol when it comes to that stuff. Janet and Lena in Denmark. They are the ones to be admired when it comes to swatching stuff, so you know what you got. I'm much more of the kind of person that goes, I think I'll use this set of stuff for this particular thing, and then I just grab it out, and then I just sort of make it up as I go along. Yep, that's kind of what I do. Anyway, so while I was at my granddaughter's, they were all sleeping one afternoon, and so I had my car there, and so I decided that I would go take advantage of, I'm not great at using the Maps app. I'm getting better. And I thought, all right, I need to drive around here on my own and get more familiar with the area and stuff. And so I did. So I took off and I went to Target. And don't you know that dastardly Target store had a rack of the most adorable dresses for little girls. And they had one that looked to me like it was the right size for my little granddaughter, who's 2.5. And it was one of those, it had a knit top, kind of it didn't go all the way to her waist, kind of between a regular dress and an empire waisted dress, and the back, the straps crossed in the back, so the straps stayed up on her shoulders, which was really good. But the skirt was fireworks and hearts, and it was tulle, and it was very floofy. So when she put it on, and it fit her like a glove. When she put it on, the first thing she did was twirl. First thing she did was twirl around. And she liked her firecracker dress a lot. She liked it a lot. She was really cute. She wore it quite a bit. Then another day I went to Hobby Lobby in the afternoon. It was while everybody was sleeping. And so I went to Hobby Lobby, and they had a pink dress-up skirt. Again, tutu style. I'm capable of making that stuff, but I hate working with tulle unless it's for a project that I'm doing. And so I got her this pink, floofy, very layered tulle tutu style thing with an elastic waist. It's too big for her right now, but she'll grow into it if she's not out of the notion by the time she grows into it. And it has a satin waistband that covers the elastic with a big satin bow. And when she put it on, I mean, she's no bigger than a minute, and that one really twirled out. But when she would twirl, it would kind of fall down her hips a little bit, and she didn't like that so well. But anyway, it's really cute. It was too cute. It was too cute. I also found there's a Hobby Lobby right there close to Target and all that, and Barnes & Noble, you know. Hobby Lobby, Barnes & Noble, Target, you know, it's like they're going to get you. They're going to get you. They're going to make you leave some money there, and they did. They made me leave money there. Rotten stores. But at Barnes & Noble, they had in there, they have a, you know, small section of art supply type things. And for kids, they were expensive, but they were worth it. They had these shimmer watercolor crayons. And you talk about shimmery goodness. There was a set of, I think, 12, and it was all the rainbow colors. Very shimmery. So she could draw with them like crayons. But she could also, if she loves to do art, and her mother is very good about letting her work with messy stuff, much better than I was with my son. And so, you know, she could actually liquefy them and spread them out and make watercolor stuff. But she's really into making faces, and she does really well. She, you know, she uses the crayon. she drew the face, and she did 2 eyes. She did some marks for the nose, and you could tell it was a nose. And then she does a line, and she holds the crayon like this, just a smile for the face, for the lips. And then a lot of times the arms come out of the side of the head right now. This one, she did a line, she did 2 arms coming out of the body, and then she did some lines for the legs. I mean, she did a really good job. So my granddaughter said, "Do you want this?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." So I cut it out and put it in my journal. Of course I did. And then she made her own swatch sheet. I gave her a page out of my journal, and so she swatched every color. I think it was 12 in the set. She swatched all the colors. She loved all those colors. And I said, "Which one is your favorite?" And she says, "People," which is purple. That she probably says a little different than, but it's something similar. It's not exactly purple, but it's some rendition. It's somewhere between purple and people. Anyway, funny kid. Anyway, I got to keep that and put that in my journal too. Anyway, I wanted to show you this book. I bought this book several months ago. This is the most eclectic stream, by the way, because you're getting it's random thoughts of Barb. And I just wanted to give her a plug because I really like her books. I've read 2 of them so far. I read this one while I was gone, Coming Up for Air, and Patty Callahan Henry is the author. She can tell a story, let me tell you. And at the end of it, toward the end of it, she just had a couple of interesting lines that really struck me. Of course, toward the end of it, there was one of the chapters was about, and I had no idea it was going to be about this, but the main character happened to go by a chapel or something, and in the chapel there was this group of Buddhist monks, which the book is not about Buddhist anything or Buddhist monks or anything. It happened to be there. And they had drawn or created this big, beautiful mandala with sand, which is typically what they use, colored sand, and how that struck this character. And I'm like, wow, I didn't see that. I didn't know that was going to be there. But anyway, on further in the story, this is what struck me, and I thought you guys might understand this. Some of you, maybe it'll mean something to you, maybe not. But in this conversation she's having with someone, she said, as if anyone can understand anything in the middle of living it. And I read that and reread that and reread that. I thought that is so true. I'm going to read it again. As if anyone can understand anything in the middle of living it. The statement before that in the conversation was, I don't understand all of it yet, but I know I had to go. So then she says in response, as if anyone can understand anything in the middle of living it. I thought that was so interesting. And then followed a little bit, a couple sentences later was, you give it your best shot and maybe you'll end up living it while you're spending all this time trying to understand it. I thought that is, things like that, especially if you've been through an earth-shattering experience or a life-changing event of some kind. Those are true statements. And then another one that was had in this same conversation was, don't you know by now that most things in our life were not in our plans? Don't you know by now that most things in our life were not in our plans? True. Anyway, so Patty Callahan Henry, she tells a good story. I just thought I would tell you that. Anyway, when I come across something that really makes me think, I put those in my journal. Okay, so speaking of journals, my journal is on its last page. I have had heart palpitations. I'm not kidding you. Not really. And so I thought I need to create a cover for my next journal. And those of you, if you by some chance anybody's new, this is what I journal in for the most part, are these moleskin journals. I like this size, which is, I think it's 5 1/4, I think. It's about 5 1/4, 5 1/2 by 8 1/4. I think it's 5 1/4 by 8 1/4. They're somewhere thereabouts. Anyway, they come in sets of 3. You can order them from Amazon. You can order them from Moleskin. You can go into Barnes & Noble and you can buy them straight off the shelf. They come with different things, different configurations inside the journal. So they all have a slip-in pocket sort of thing at the back. Some of them are dot grid, some are plain paper, some are like this, some of them are graph paper. I always like the ones that have the lines. That's what works the best for me. But I don't like them all looking the same. You can get these with different colors on the covers, but still there's a limited number of colors, so they're all going to look the same, which is why I put covers on them, because I like them to be different. And so I thought, well, I would use this today, play around with this and see what I think, if I like it. And so what this is a paper napkin. So this background is one paper napkin, and I have backed it with fusible interfacing, the Appellon fusible interfacing. It's a pretty good sized napkin. I took off the layers. This is just the top layer of the napkin, and I took off the backings. There were 2 sheets of backing paper, so I peeled those off and I backed it with fusible interfacing. So that's what's on the back of it right here, is fusible interfacing to give it some strength. And then these these little bits and pieces here are also paper napkin, and I tried to put fusible web on the back of these little butterflies and things, and it was fighting me pretty hard because the napkin, the top layer of the paper napkin is so thin that the fusible web just wanted to come right through and make life miserable for me. So anyway, they're temporarily stuck on here, but they are not on here for good, believe me. If I shove this in and out of my journal a bunch of times, it is going to shred and come apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some stitching on here, and what I'm trying to do is just get this to adhere to my stabilizer enough. And what's on the back in the way of stabilizer is Ricky Tim's Stable Stuff. So that's what's on the back. Just patchworked it together, and it is a stabilizer that if you use it with fabric and you wash it, it will dissolve except leave behind some polyester fibers, so it won't make your quilts and stuff stiff. I tend to use it a lot with projects that I'm not going to wash. So that's what I've done. I've just put the paper napkin, single layer paper napkin, onto fusible interfacing, which turns it into a fabric, a stitchable surface, and then I just added these little bits and pieces, and hopefully this will let me then make a cover that will go on this journal like so, and then I'll have extra left over. So I may start stitching up here, and I'm not sure how I'm going to stitch it. So yeah, so I figured, well, I'll take you along for the ride and we'll just kind of see how it shows up in the world. So does that sound okay to you guys? We have about an hour left, so we'll stitch around on this. So you can do stuff like this. You know, if you don't want to use it on a journal, you certainly don't have to. You can make things, and you can use them for backgrounds for postcards, ATCs, any other fiber type project. You can add fabric to the surface along with the paper napkin, but I thought, what the heck, let's do it. I hope you guys are still here. Chat hasn't moved for a while. Will somebody let me know if you guys are all still here? I hope. I'm assuming that you're all just doing your thing in the background and listening. That's what I'm assuming. Would I be correct about that? Okay. Still here. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you so much. All right. So what's happening next is I'm going to get out a sewing machine, which happens to be right here beside me. Yep. And hopefully I have my hopefully this camera is going to be focused better. See if I can get this where you guys can see what's what. I think so. Okay. And I don't know, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna rethread the machine and put in a lime green, because speaking of lime green, I gotta tell you what I did. When I went to Barnes & Noble, I wanted to get something for my granddaughter. I'd gotten something for each of the kids, you know, and I wanted to get something for her, and I've gotten her journaling. She's doing really well. Thank you guys for letting me know. She's journaling, which is, you know how I am about journaling. I try to convince everybody they need to journal, right? And I gotta get another, gotta put some different bobbin thread in here. I'm looking at what colors I have and which is the one that has the most thread on it. this one, so we're going to use that one. And so I said, would you like something while I'm out? And she said, well, I'm kind of getting through this journal. And I said, okay, I'll get you another journal. And she likes, I turned her into a Moleskine user, but she likes kind of the hardbound journals. So I stood at the section looking at the journals, the Moleskine. She likes that size. I think it was 5x7 or something. And so I looked at them thinking, which one should I give her? Because they have different colors for the covers. My granddaughter likes neutrals. Okay. Do you know how hard it was for me to leave the lime green one there and not take that one to her? Because the one she was just about finished with is kind of a mauve-y pink. Oh man, that was hard for me. And so I got her one that was kind of a, well, I would call it muckle-de-duck brown. It would be a color that Tim Holtz would love. Just saying, he would love it. Not my favorite color. I thought out of all the colors they had there, that was the one, and I wanted to get her something different than what she had. And so I looked and looked, and this was the most neutral, the closest to a neutral color that I could get. So I got her for that. Got that one for her, brought it home to her, and she said, oh, that's great, thank you so much. And I'm like, you don't know how hard it was for me to leave the lime green one there. And she goes, oh, I'm glad you did. Yeah, it's that, CB, it's that color. But she's just real neutral. Her house is neutral. Yeah, it's the quilt I made for her little girl when she was born was in shades of grays and very neutral tones. And I'm like, wow. I mean, thankfully we picked out all the colors. We FaceTimed together. It would never have been what I would have picked out ever. It was so good that we FaceTimed together. For that quilt. I have not yet started a quilt for the little boy. Yeah. And I told her, I said, we will have to do that together because I will do lime green and purple and, blue, teal and stuff, You know how it is. I like color and she is neutral. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because this has stripes in it, I'm just going to sew on the stripes here just to kind of get my hands and my brain wrapped around this. This is paper napkin, as I said, backed with interfacing, fusible interfacing. And then it also has, I need my knee lift so I can raise my presser foot here. It also has the stabilizer on the back, and I'm using King Tut thread in lime green, and that's what I've done up there. Okay, all right. And on the bottom is also a King Tut thread. It's just because it's the one I had the most of on the bobbin, without having to go in and bother Chance, he put himself in the other room with his treats. He was ready to go in there. My animals were at the vet for a week, and when I went to pick them up and bring them home, when I walked in, the vet tech on the front counter looked at me and she says, no. And I said, you have got to be kidding. You want Chance to go home, and you know it. And she said, no, we just love him. Muppet doesn't really know where she is, so she's fine. She's fine being there. She's fine coming home. She liked coming home, and discovering that her backyard was still here. She actually kind of ran around a little bit when I got her home, which was nice. She doesn't usually do that, and so she was happy to be home. Chance was deliriously delighted to be home, but the vet tech said the only thing that Chance did that was kind of a little sketchy was he got a little jealous when there was a kitten back there where the cats are, because they'll have him out, and I don't know if they let him walk around back there. I don't know what they do exactly, but apparently he gets a lot of individualized attention. And there was a kitten that had to be in to be treated for something, and she said he got pretty jealous about that kitten. So she didn't go into details. I'm not real sure what he did. I'm not sure what he did that was inappropriate. He probably cuffed the kitten or something. So I'm just getting a feel for how this is stitching. That's all I'm doing here. I just want to see what it feels like and what it looks like. The green thread is a variegated thread that I'm using up here, and so that's what I'm doing, just kind of getting my brain wrapped around it a little bit. So I think that I like how that looks, so I think I'm going to skip down to about, let's go, I think this has a line that I think I can follow here with fold line in the paper. We'll see if I can do this. When you're working with anything, this is just general information. When you're working with anything that where the presser foot is trying to bunch up the fabric or paper or whatever, and it starts pushing like this, you don't want to pull front to back, you want to pull side to side. So smooth the material side to side like this, rather than pull it this way. It works better. There's probably physics behind it. Don't know what that is. Don't care. It just tends to work better. Okay. And I clip the threads as I go because I cannot stand, personally, waiting until the whole project is over and then have to give it a haircut. I absolutely detest doing that. So I take the time to cut the threads as I move along. Okay, so I think if I do this, and let's see if I can do this where you can see. Okay, I don't know that you guys are going to be able to, yeah, I can kind of show it to you like this. I'm just trying to get about the height of my notebook, so that's going to be fine. So that's a good starting place. Alright, so I'm going to stitch a little bit more with just straight line stitching, and then, okay, here I'm going to just, and then I may do some free motion stuff. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't really know what I'm doing with this. I'm making it up as I go along, quite frankly. But that's what I do with most things. And I'm using a stitch length of 3mm stitch length. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am working on a paper surface, even though it is backed with interfacing, which is a fabric. It's a non-woven fabric that I'm using behind there. I'm going to go this way this time. I'm doing, because it is paper on the surface, I'm trying not to poke holes very close together. And the needle that I have in here is a size 80. When I stitch paper, I use the smallest needle that I can get away with to poke the smallest holes. It is very common for people And I've heard it many times where they'll say, well, you got to use a big heavy needle for paper. And I go, I don't think that would not be my recommendation. But each person needs to do what works for them and their sewing machine. For me, I don't do that because I don't want great big holes, great big perforations. Okay, so we're going to come down, I'm going to come down here where the butterflies are, and I'm going to hop over the butterflies. I put all this stuff on here, glued it all on with fusible web, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't know how brilliant that was, so I'm going to do a couple back stitches, and then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hop over the butterflies because I'm going to cut the threads in between. I'm going to back stitch at both ends of the stitching because I'm going to hop over those to avoid them, and then I will cut the threads so that the butterflies aren't stitched right through. And I may wish that I had done other than that, but you know, it's a cover for a journal, you know, it's all it is. Okay, so I'm going to come back to where the butterflies were, right here where I hopped across, and I'm going to just snip those threads so that they don't have big green threads stretching across my butterflies. Okay. And I'm going to continue this, and then I think I'm going to do a little zigzag stitching around the butterflies. We'll see. We'll see. What do we think that's going to look like? I don't know. We'll find out. Again, I'm going to couple back stitches and hop across the butterflies. I don't think I have any black thread in here, so I may have to go in there and maybe I'll use a different color than black. And say I might have to go in there and bother Chance. The other evening, my grandson-in-law decided he was hungry for strawberry shortcake, and he was also left to his own devices going to the grocery store. And I think he was hungry when he went to the grocery store, and he came home with all the stuff, plus they had strawberries for 99 cents for boxes. It was, I don't know what size box it was, but it was a pretty good size box, you know. And we all bought strawberries. He bought strawberries, I bought strawberries. They froze some strawberries. It was pretty funny. Anyway, he decided to make us strawberry shortcake Monday night. I wish you could, the stack of the strawberry shortcake was about that tall. He got some of those little cakes, you know, the ones that they sell that are pre-baked, like a shortcake type thing. 2 of those with strawberries and coconut whipped cream. Way too much. Way too much. Ate it all. Yes, I did. Ate it all. Certainly did. Was really good. Alright, I'm going to stitch here. Okay, this is just such a little short section. I'll just clip the threads and start again on the other side of my words. This is also paper napkin here. I've had this particular paper napkin where this came off. I've had that forever. And so I used part of it. I need to backstitch this a little bit. And this butterfly, I'm going to stitch right through it because there wasn't very much butterfly right there. Okay. Again, clipping off the thread tails as I go, because I don't like to have to do the haircut at the end. Okay, and what shall we do now down here? I may switch to, what do I want to do? I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'm going to go in the, I'm going to brave the room back here and get some, I think some black thread. Is that what I want to do? Oh, this is where I shouldn't have to, I should have pre-planned this. Maybe I don't want black. I'm going to disappear in this room and get some other color thread. I'll be right back. Okay, what I selected was, again, from King Tut, but it is a variegated gray and black. I really like the variegated threads. So I'm going to put that on the top of my machine, the top thread. This thread tells you to use a size 90 needle with it. Yeah, see, mistakes. A mistake was made. I let you out, didn't I? Yeah, I let you out. He was in there sleeping nicely in the window. He's not now. Yeah, he's not sleeping nicely in there now. He'll be on my lap shortly, and I'll be having to work around him because that's what he does. That is what he does. I'm just looking to see if I have a darker color bobbin thread I can stick on the bottom. Chance says hello to everybody. Don't you? Yes. I'm putting a thinner thread in for the bobbin thread so that it will purposely unbalance the stitch. I have a heavier thread on the top and a thinner thread on the bottom. Hopefully I have enough. If I don't, I'll have to add some more, change some more. Because if you unbalance the stitch, then it should help pull the top thread to the back side of my project. It's a journal cover. If it's not perfect, we don't care. Okay? You're all with me on that, right? All right, you're gonna have to get up here, aren't you? Because that's the kind of cat, it's the kind of animal you are. All right, come here. This is usually how this goes. Yeah, this is usually how this goes. I usually have to work around him. Okay, so he may, you may see his little goofy face in and out of the frame, and that is just the way it's going to be. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Quit. And then see, he wants me to pat him. That's usually the issue. He wants me to pat his head. And then he spends the rest of his time rubbing his face on what I'm doing. He's just a royal pain to work around here. All right, so what I've done is I've set this up. The feed dogs are in the working position. I wish you guys could really see him. Let me Can't do that because that strobing effect will drive everybody nuts. Yeah, just trust me, all this movement that's down here in this corner of the screen, that's him. Yeah, being obnoxious. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to do a zigzag stitch around this with a cat on my lap. The feed dogs are working, so I am not doing free motion. I'm just going to do Chance. He's rubbing his face all over everything. I know you guys are having a great time laughing at my dilemma. Alright, so this is a little scallopy area here, and so I'm going to have to kind of maneuver around the scallops while dodging the cat face. Yes, hello. Now he's looking at me. Maybe you can see him this way better. Do you see what how much fun this is to try to stitch around? You probably enjoy watching him more than you enjoy watching me stitch. He is a character. He was so glad to get home that all he wanted to do was follow me around and have me sit down and hold him. Although he had been well cared for and he had provided endless entertainment at the vet hospital. I will be gone again the end of July for, I don't know, probably 2 weeks. But my house sitter will be here and she will be taken care of. She stays at the house and she'll be taking care of them. This time she was gone on vacation with her family, and so I had to be sensitive to the fact that she deserved a vacation, I'll tell you. How are you doing down there? You doing okay? He's a pain in the neck, you guys. He is a pain in the neck. Yeah, he's a pain in the neck, aren't you? Quit. I wish you'd quit rubbing your face on everything. Quit. Such a pain. You're a pain. You're such a pain. But if I have him on the floor, what he does is he talks the whole time. He is not a helper. He is not a helper. Oh, no, that's not good, Barbara. Ooh, he's never done that. But he does interfere with my hands. He's a mess. He's a mess, this one. He is a mess. Okay, so keeps rubbing his head on everything, don't you? Yeah. I know. And his breath is real bad. He doesn't care, though. Doesn't seem to bother him at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, let me show you what I'm doing. I'm coming in around these little butterflies. I'm reduced the size of my zigzag quite a bit, and so I'm gonna see if I can just go around the butterflies. They're not gonna be, oh, he's getting off. This is good. Okay, hop off. Hop off. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Maybe I can work now. Okay, so I'm just gonna sort of go around these little butterflies. This may or may not look good, and I don't really care. What is going on? Oh, it's going on. It's okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah. And I'm working with the feed dogs. If I was doing this free motion, then I could just move it any direction I want. But there's also the disadvantage of the tension. You have to decide how long the zigzags are, which is kind of a pain. So I'm letting the machine help me, but yeah. Anyway, we'll just see how it works out. If it doesn't work exactly the way I wanted it, it's good enough. I'm going to pretend that he does not have any antenna, this butterfly. We're going to pretend like it has no antenna. And go back up the other wing, like so. Oh, that was very helpful when he got off my lap, I will tell you that. Okay. I'm going to see, so my zigzag is not exactly perfect all the way around. Yeah, I know. Trying to pull the top thread to the back, and then I will knot that off later. Okay, so here's what I just did. I just stitched around this little butterfly with a zigzag. That's okay. I mean, it's for the front of a journal. Nobody's going to care. Oh, he's such a pain. I'm going to go ahead and knot this so I can get rid of the threads. He's so old that he gets special compensation and special dispensation and special everything because he's older than Methuselah at this point. I don't know. What do you want? Okay, let's come up here and yes, I see you. Let's, I'm just trying to decide where I want to start. What? That's the melodious voice of a Siamese cat, you guys. I know. Isn't it lovely? Don't you wish he lived with you? I bet you do. Sometimes when you're doing stuff like this, you kind of have to just be patient with the sewing machine. You're asking it to stitch on stuff that it does not like to stitch on. So when you're done stitching at the end of a project, you know what you really ought to do is pat your machine and tell it thank you so much for being so cooperative, because it really doesn't necessarily like doing the things that you're asking it to do sometimes. Yeah. Yes, I see you. Okay, so we made it around that butterfly. Now, aside from the threads that are on the top, those will go away. There's that butterfly. You know, looks okay. We got one more butterfly up here. Let's just do it while we're here. Also, when I am completely done with this, and after it's on the journal, after I've attached it to the journal, I will probably give this a coat of matte medium over the top of it, just to protect the surface of the paper from the top. Thanks, CB. this butterfly up here, the fusible web did not want to stick to it for some reason, so it's real important on this one that I'm stitching right now to have the addition of the stitching. The other two were well stuck. I wouldn't really have to have the machine stitching. This one, on the other hand, had to have it. And it does not have, these butterflies do not have the fusible interfacing behind them, so I am stitching paper to paper on this. Yeah, which is another reason I will put a coat of matte medium or gloss medium or something on this, because it's going to have to, it really needs that for protection, because that is a single layer. This is a single layer of paper napkin. Yeah. Not ideal. Yeah, I should have backed those with interfacing as well. Didn't think about it until right this minute. Yeah. Oh, I'm not talking to you right now. I know. I'm not really talking to you right now. Okay, so there is that little butterfly right there. So it looks okay. Yeah, it looks okay. All right, there's one more thing on here which needs to be stitched around, and that is this little phrase here that says "Life is funny." That's also from this paper napkin. And so I've got to stitch around that. I'm going to go back to a straight stitch, because if I use a zigzag, what it's going to do is it's going to totally obliterate the words. So I'm going to go back to a straight stitch, and we'll see how well I can do this on the edge, on the edge of this little skinny strip. I don't usually go to this much trouble about making a cover of a journal, and I don't know why I was in the mood to do it today, but I was. Okay. So it will also kind of call out those little words right there, which is "life is funny," right there. Okay, at this point, let's see, maybe I'm done stitching, and let me go back to a different camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Chance, button it. Can you button it up, buddy? Are you a good boy? Yeah, you think you're much more important than what I'm doing, aren't you? Okay, can you move? He's on the table where the machine goes. Come on. Yep, there you go. Good boy. I just have my machine on this little tiny table right beside me. He thinks he's very important. Okay, so here is what I've done. I didn't do a lot of machine stitching on this, but I did some. So this will go on here like so. And I'll come in here where you can see it more better. Okay. So I'm going to have to pull the threads to the back side and knot those off. And then I will, because this is a heavier weight stuff than just paper, what I will use is tacky glue. So this is what I'll be using, is tacky glue, to put a nice coat on here, and then I will glue this, and I will glue it to the back. Okay, put it under some heavy weight and let it completely dry before I come back and trim it all up. Once it's completely dry, then I will, and trimmed out, then I'll come back and I'll give it a coat of some kind of medium or varnish or something, so that it will protect these little pieces here, because these are just paper, the butterflies and this little thing. And I think that's going to be a pretty good journal cover. Yeah, I like it. I think I can like it. Anyway, so there you go. I have stitched a paper napkin to create a journal cover. You just have to put something on the back that makes it stitchable. All right. I know I'm cutting it a little bit. Oh, I know what we can do. Since I'm pretty much done with that, we might try, if you want to hang out with me for a few more minutes, we might try some of these new fabric markers. So now you kind of see where my head is going. Chance. I'll do it if I can stand this cat. Thank you, guys. Because we started on this. I have done 2 different sessions on this tote bag. What's this tote bag I have carried for several years in its partially completed state. I only completed a part of it up here. Chance, what? He wants on my lap so much. Come here. Come here. Okay, cat's on my lap again. So I'd started this, painting this with fabric paint several years ago when I bought the thing. And then I did some of it with markers the last time that I streamed. And then I got the new markers, which I showed you earlier. So this is the back of the bag. And so maybe we'll just try some of the new markers down here where they're kind of toward the bottom. And that way we'll just see what we think. See if they're worth using. So these are my swatches of color. And I'll do this just for maybe 10 minutes. And then we'll call it good for today. He is insistent that I'm going to pet his head. Aren't you? Look at this. Look at this mess. Do you see? This is how this goes. He wants to be up here in the middle of everything, and he is rubbing his head on me, and see? Yeah, this is how this goes. This is why I don't come up here and get much done. He was much better when Charlie was here because the two of them snuggled each other, and so they got all of their interaction. He got all of his important affection from Charlie. Now it's my job, isn't it? Oh, goodness, Chance. Okay, can you come here? Can you come off here? Okay. All right. So I'm going to Chance, just stay right here. So if this doesn't look good, or if my hand suddenly goes zipping off somewhere, you're going to know that he hit my hand. All right, let's try a marker here. Let's go for the color number 17. I don't know why, it's just because I saw it. Okay, and the name of this book is Cat Beth, like Macbeth, only Cat Beth. So these are the markers that are from Shuttle Art, courtesy of buying them on Amazon. All right, so we're going to do this, and I'm going to do what I did up here on some of these, which is I shaded them, which I happen to love the look of. So we're going to try that on this one. See how these work with doing that as well. Okay, so there's that one. That is a pretty good color. So that was 17. Let's shade it with color number 20. Whatever this is. Hopefully it's darker. Yeah, it is. Okay, and I'm just going to shade down the edges, because all I want to do is kind of act like this is a, the spine of the book is kind of rounded. Kind of got a little wild there at the bottom. And I'm going to come back to the original color and then color between those two colors to see if I can blend them a little bit, which they seem to be doing, so that's good. Alright, now let's do the label. Cat Beth, I'm going to color right over the letters, and I want to see how transparent this is. I'm going to do color number 14. We're going to see how transparent these are, because I'm going to come, the ends of the markers are really, they're on there. Okay, so I'm going right over the screen printed letters. Okay, they're still showing up. That's good. And then again, I need to kind of shade the edges. So what color did I use? I used 17. We'll just use that, which was the base color here. Very lightly at the edges of the label of the book title, and then come back to the color I used and blend over that. And you know, so far I like them. I gotta say, I like them. All right, so let's go to the next. We'll go to this one. This one is Robinson Calico, as opposed to Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Calico. Let's use color, and I'm just looking on here at my swatches. So let's go with the blue. So let's do color number 23. And again, I wrote the numbers on both ends. Chance, 23 and 24. So these are the two colors I'm going to use. All right. I bet you wish you had a chance cat in your life. Then you too could have somebody whine and complain at you in a lovely Siamese voice day in and day out. I know you wish you had one. All right, 23, 24. This should be a little darker. Yeah, it is. I'm just going down the sides just so I get the books to look a little bit rounded. The spines look a little rounded. Okay, lest you think that he is being deprived, he's not. He's trying to convince me that I need to give him more cat treats. Chance. All right, we're going to use number 7 and number 6 for this little skinny book. Chance. Hello, Marty. Okay, so I'm going to use whatever this color was. What was this? 7. I don't know if my broadcast is doing okay or not. I just got a message that it wasn't getting enough signal from me. So anyway, we're almost done anyhow. And a little bit of this color, which is the one that I labeled as number 6. Now, the numbering system is my own numbering system, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with the manufacturer. I numbered them all by myself. Yes, I did. Okay, so it just gives them by doing it froze for a second. Okay. It's buffering. Oh well. It is what it is. You know what? At this point, I'm going to take off. I don't know what is going on, but for some reason, they don't seem to be getting enough signal from me. Nothing has changed. I haven't done anything different. Freezing. Okay. So what I'm going to do, as soon as if it ever changes back to the screen for me, okay. Yeah, I can see it's freezing. So, you know what? I'm going to go for now, since we're having a little bit of an issue. And I will be back on Monday evening, 7 p.m. Central. I will see you then. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out and just enjoying part of your Friday with me. I hope you have a great weekend. Or whenever you're watching, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy. And I'll see you on Monday or next week, whichever comes first for you guys. See you later. Bye for now.